Namaskar and welcome back. We are here with Media Scan, your weekend dose of headlines, controversies and perspectives. Not Kashmir, not the Northeast, it's the south of India which is giving sleepless nights to our intelligence agencies for the state of radicalization and the threat of violence. The incident in Mangalore that happened very recently has just brought back the focus on a challenge which has been around for a pretty long time. So let's connect to our special guest this evening to know exactly what's going on. Joining me here on this show this evening, well-known strategic affairs expert, internal security commentator. You know him as one of our most vocal persons known to speak his mind. Welcoming Mr. RSN Singh sir on Media Scan for the first time. Namaskar and thank you for connecting with us, Mr. Singh. Also with me once again, Vicky Nanjappa, ace reporter on internal security and related issues. Welcome back, Vicky, joining me straight from Bengaluru.
Thank you, Smita ji. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
And Vicky, my first question comes to you. Before I move to Mr. Singh, very quickly, do take us through what happened in Bangalore and the subsequent events so far before I come to the larger questions associated with the subject. Vicky.
Okay. First of all, there was a bomb blast that was, I would call it a botched up bomb blast, basically. Mohammed Sharik, actually, a resident of Shimoga. He had prepared a pressure cooker bomb and he was planning to explode it off in a crowded place, with a very specific target. But while he was on the way to, explode the bomb at the specified target, the bomb took off. And that's when the whole plot unraveled. And we just got to know that it's so much more similar to the Coimbatore blast happened, which was another botched up terror operation. So that's what is about the blast as of now.
And since you have been reporting very, very intensively on the issue, Vicky, what is your reading of the situation from your sources? Have you been able to thread together at least partially what could have been behind this entire chain of events?
See, one thing I noticed that in the investigation, now he had used a Hindu name in his Aadhaar card, number 1 point. And I was told that, he participated in all the Hindu festivals. He had an image of Lord Shiva out there. So, and it looked, extremely that, he was not, he was not a Muslim boy at the end of it. The whole thing is, if I see that even if you look at his history, he was involved in a stabbing incident over, the Veer Savarkar posters which had come up. Okay, and he has been under the radar of the agencies for quite some time. So clearly he was onto a larger goal. And while everybody may say that, he's not part of an organization, that's not how terror works anymore, in the rest of India. The thing is, it is all about, being subscribed to one particular ideology and things like that. And it is very, very clear that his visits to Coimbatore and a possible meeting with Jamisha Mobin, who is, the Coimbatore bomber, it all makes it look like, they all had one larger picture to carry for the goal of the Islamic State, because all these people were radicalized online.
In a nutshell, Vicky, for the benefit of our viewers, the 2 or 3 big things that come out from your analysis is, number 1, perhaps Sharik was trying to fake an identity to hoodwink those who were trying to find out, because as you said, he had been under the radar for a while. Secondly, he was definitely in touch with people who are known to be links with the terror modules, Indians or perhaps from abroad as well. And thirdly, that all this theory about the lone wolf attack, him having been self-radicalized, etc., does not hold water. So allow me to bring in Mr. RSN Singh here and see what is his take on the situation. Mr. Singh, if you just relate the incidents that have happened in relation to the Mangalore blast, sir, what is your perspective, your take on the situation before I move on to some larger questions, sir?
No, firstly, you have banned the Popular Front of India, but that doesn't mean that, the organization has ceased to exist or ceased to operate.
Right.
We have all seen in the past that how they assume different names, different identities, and different patterns of functioning. So The network as such has been, disrupted, but not to that extent where, where you can rule out all kinds of, jihadi terrorist attacks. So I link it to the Popular Front of India, and then it
Okay.
goes, of course, it goes back to, the Coimbatore, which I consider as the epicenter of global jihad in India, not from now, but from many, at least 200 years. So you link it up with 1998 Coimbatore blast and the latest Coimbatore blast. It's all part of the same jihadi ecosystem. So I'm not at all surprised. And well, I may also caution that there is nothing called a crude bomb or a sophisticated bomb. A bomb is a bomb.
Right.
It's the intention which matters. It is just that one is not able to prepare the logistics. That is why it was a low intensity blast. Otherwise, the intentions were always there. So what matters is intention. We cannot take comfort in the fact that it was only a pressure cooker bomb or a gas cylinder bomb, or not many people were killed. But say if it had been the otherwise, so it is the intention which matters, and I can only say that there is a massive jihadi ecosystem which is prevailing from, as I said, not now, for about several years. If right from the time, if you recall, when you had this what do you say, Mopla rebellion in 1922. So 1923, and since then, I mean, the jihadism has hardly abated. Only thing was people
So you are connecting
were
the
not
current...
talking about it. Now it is coming to the surface, and
But
yes,
sir,
ma'am.
I understand that you are connecting, I mean, you are going quite back, sir, in the early 1920s when the Mapila rebellion happened, and there were threads of radicalization very visible. But when we speak of the current situation, or perhaps, the last 15 to 20 years, there is obviously a connection from enemies of the nation who are sitting abroad. Particularly since the ISIS became active, the reflection has been very much there in the south of India. I recall that the first incident of association with the ISIS was also reported from the south of India at Kadalur in Tamil Nadu. And then all those reports about people joining the ISIS to fight in Syria, etc., going from Kerala. What I want to ask you here, sir, is if we have been seized of the matter, if we have been aware that radicalization is spreading its tentacles to every village, why has it taken us so long and it is still not controlled to an extent that people can feel safe?
Why has it taken so long? Well, the answer is that you have had governments which, if not very sympathetic to the jihadi cause, they have been, very careless about it. Careless, or even I can say that, they were nonchalant about this whole, challenge. And, it is a typical ostrich-like attitude that you bury your head and then you pretend that nothing is there. That is what happens. In southern part of India, I mean, if you go through the entire, history of, say, Popular Front of India,
yes,
wasn't it amalgamation of, Karnataka Dignity Forum, Tamil Pasarai, some, organization, and then you had this organization from Kerala. So I'm just forgetting. It says what a national front, some organization was there. So all the three jihadis organizations, they merged together into 2006. So we are aware about it. But you were asking me about this what has about the ISIS factor or the ISIS phenomenon. Now just let me explain you this way. That there are two types of jihad which impact on India. One that was centered on Jammu and Kashmir, and as a larger arena, it now covers Punjab as well. So that is one type of jihad orchestrated by the Pakistan military intelligence establishment. And other type of jihad is global jihad, which has got, West Asia connections and Afghanistan connections. So what you see in Kerala is directly what, is linked to what is happening in the Gulf region. Linked to the Gulf. And of course, the Al-Qaeda, we all know that Popular Front of India is an affiliate of, Al-Qaeda. So the southern part of the country, that is how it got linked to the IS, the Islamic State. So the Kashmiri Jihad is linked to Pakistan military intelligence establishment, specific India groups, anti-India groups like Lashkar-e-Toiba, Hizbul Mujahideen, Jaish-e-Mohammed. And then you have this, global jihadi organizations in southern part of India. And you are absolutely right. There were Keralites, there were people from southern part of India, particularly Kerala. And these, some districts, Kannur, Kasargod, the Coimbatore region, and as well as, from where, Rahul Gandhi, fights his elections.
Why not?
So, why not? So these are all areas which are very much part of that ecosystem, and they're all linked to global jihad.
Right. Very, very well explained, sir. And I do remember that I have seen a series of reports on this issue about growing radicalization in the south of India. Wiki himself has done an entire series of reports on them. And one of the stories very clearly mentioned what you have just flagged, sir, that since there is a sizable population of people from the south of India working in the Middle East, the Gulf countries, it becomes a sort of a conduit, because this global jihadi network finds it's easy to connect to them and through that create trouble in our country. Vicky, you have just listened to Mr. R.S.N. Singh flagging the concerns about how it's happening in the south of India, why it is directly connected to the global jihadi networks. What is your reporting experience in this matter? What have you learned in the recent years? Do tell us.
Right, Smitaji, the one thing that I've noticed is that, these, if you see that the spread of Wahhabism, which has been happening for quite some time now, basically, what has happened is the remittances have been very, very high there in South India. And, they have made use of the, diaspora, especially from Kerala, which works so, in such high numbers in the Gulf. That is
Yes.
number one. And so, the thing is, considering the banking was very expensive for a very, very long time, these people have, used the Hawala channels. So, the Wahhabis have been able to, channelize the funds through them. And, in many discussions that we've had, also one thing is that, the kind of Wahhabi spread that happens. To basically happen is, the thing is, when the Wahhabis came in, they were trying to take control over the mosque administration out there. And there have been, fights reported out there. The thing is, they've been trying to put in their kind of law, which says, no laughing too loudly, pants above a certain length, above the knee, grow beards all the time, don't have fun, don't watch TV, these kind of things. And when the 21 people left from Kerala and when they, left for the ISIS Khorasan province, the investigations, the interrogations which were done of the family members, all of them, exactly quoted that this is the way they had started behaving before they left.
So, Vicky, from what you are explaining to us, I see that there is a kind of a parallel campaign going on. There is one set of people who are trying to instill, a very high level of Wahhabism in the day-to-day lives of the people. For example, asking them not to sing or dance, to dress in a particular way, not to have, generally any kind of fun in life. But then right now we are concerned with incidents of actual terror, as in violence. Are there any incidents or in your insight where how we could relate how one leads to the other?
Earlier, as I was saying, is that, the thing is, the families of these people who, left for the Islamic State in Afghanistan, they have, cited that, these people were following this ideology. Some of their sisters were said, you stop watching TV, you can't do things like that. That is one part of it. And the second thing is that, ultimately at the end of it, what is the larger goal? It is the Sharia law, which they, which they
Right.
want to, follow at the end of it. So that has been the larger goal. And considering, this establishment of the caliphate, which they talk about, and, put up the caliphate, and then after that, establishment of the Shariat law. So this is the larger goal which has been happening. And if you see the kind of material that have been recovered, like, the connection to the Sri Lanka bomber, for that matter, or, the spread of the Islamic State, as you pointed out at the beginning of the show about, how it was reported in Tamil Nadu. So, and then going ahead, I want to say that it's not like the intelligence or the agencies have not been reporting this in the past. It has been reported. But one officer told me one thing very, very interesting, that, we were reporting, but, there was always the fear of being tripped over. And the same officer had also told me one thing. We had mapped Balakot 16 years back. It required guts to hit it. So, the thing is, there was no action which was happening on it. And today we are seeing that it is happening. And if you say, the killers of a former prime minister, they are welcomed by a political party, etc. So you can imagine the seriousness when it comes to this.
Okay, I think I'll have to stop you now, because you have raised some very, very pertinent questions, serious ones for the polity and the future of the country. Allow me to bring in Mr. Singh here on what you have just flagged. Mr. Arison saying, very clearly, Vicky is saying that officers have been telling him, and not once, but several times, that they have been flagging this rising radicalization in the south of India for last several years, at least from the mid-90s. However, successive governments were not able to pay enough attention, either for political reasons or because their attention was elsewhere. And when we have incidents like the killers of a former prime minister getting released from jail before the sentence is over, what kind of a message does it go?
No, as far as the sensitivity of the country and the organizations are concerned, I can dare say that we lacked sensitivity because we did not follow the trajectory of jihad. If you compare, I said earlier that if you compare the 1998 Coimbatore blast with the latest blast, the principal characters are the same. The motivation is the same. The leaders are the same. So nothing has changed in the last 22 years. It is only that now, once these, so many terrorist attacks have taken place in the country, we have been compelled. We have been compelled to take notice of it. Yet some of us are very shameless in the sense that we still don't want to acknowledge it, though we understand about it. The other thing that you asked, this about Wahhabism and, what is the, what sort of radicalization is taking place. Yes, the South has always radicalized, especially Nanjappa was absolutely correct when he said that, this lot of Gulf money, 70s, so there was an oil boom and jihad rode over this oil boom. And because if you see the map, as I told you about this entire Malabar region, they have direct, I would say, cultural and religious interface with Arab, which is not the case in the rest of India. So here it was a different kind of.
Incidentally, sir, I am reminded that right here in Lutyens, Delhi, there was an event organized at a time when the country was facing terror attacks in multiple cities, demanding the release of the person who was the prime accused in the Coimbatore blast, convicted. So,
no, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, Mr. Madani was one. I mean, there was a lot of clamor for his release. But what I'm trying to tell you, let me conflate it. What is happening now? Now you see the World Cup is going on, and they have. Whom do you invite? You invite Zakir Naik.
True.
Zakir Naik is the poster boy of Wahhabism. There are only two countries in this world which follow actually, Wahhabism. One is Saudi Arabia, and the other is Qatar, and the third may be India. So what has happened is that Saudis have changed gears. Prince Salman has changed gears. So now the Qatar dispensation, it feels that it has to now assume the leadership of the Wahhabi world, or be the main purveyors of Wahhabi ideology. So that is how and yet we are having. I go on so many debates on television channels. I don't find many people from the political class condemning, this move of Qatar. They just, try and circumvent this issue. So, and also let me tell you, madam, I am of the firm view that India is the biggest exporter of jihad in the world, because here you have all the headquarters of all the organizations, the Deobandis, the Barelvis, the Ahle Hadith.
So,
Tell me,
yes, sir. Please make your
am
point.
I wrong? What I'm saying, I'm just telling you a fact. And I also add that please don't go by the narrative of any other country of the world as far as dealing with jihadism is concerned. You have your own unique geopolitical political surrounding, geopolitical circumstances. The Chinese realized it, and they are dealing it in their own way. And when they're dealing it in their own way, let me tell you, the OIC dare not condemn the Chinese. So many meetings of the Organization of Islamic Countries have taken place. They have never criticized the Chinese. So, in the interest of their nation building, they are dealing this jihadism in their own particular way. Who is stopping us?
Right. I will come to
Who
that
is
about
stopping
how
us?
I will come to the question of dealing with it, sir, in just a few moments. Before that, I want to touch upon one issue with Vicky Nanjappa, which you have also just mentioned in your remarks. Vicky, apart from the fact Mr. Singh has raised that it is not right to just keep on blaming the global networks, because there are headquarters of some of the most extremist organizations functioning right out of our own soil. So that is a really big question to think about. But on another note, Vicky, Mr. Singh just mentioned about how things have panned out in the Malabar. I remember one of your reports raising the question about, the land deals going on the Malabar coast, how land is being purchased by people of a particular agenda. Do you at all relate this to what is now happening in the south of India currently? I mean, is there a relation?
Yes, I mean, in the sense, is very similar to what is happening in West Bengal, Smith. I think, what should we call as jihad, basically. They come in, they counterfeit, etc. But there is a totally different problem which is happening is, what, a lot of these Bangladeshis coming in illegally, they have gone and actually basically, mingled with, the locals out there, and they have set up things like that. So I don't see anything different happening. And when we talk about, taking land or something, I think the 2020 investigation or the early 2020 investigation of the NIA was said that how these people were scouting for land in Kerala, be it in Karnataka, and also in part of Bengal.
But Vicky, allow me to interrupt you for a second. Aren't land deals, registrations, land sale deed transfers directly being dealt by the administration, the subdivision, the tehsil? Don't they come into the notice of the local administration and authorities?
No, I mean, if they are threatened from behind, with their lives, I mean, they will definitely go and sign, right, Smitaji? So that is the thing. I mean, it's not like it is being reported or something like that, and that is when we talk about, forcefully, grabbing land and things like that, threatening, giving a certain amount of money, and, considering the mafia that they've got, at the end of it, these poor people, who actually sell off their land, they're actually a little, I mean, not little, very, very scared or something like that. So, in front of the authorities or the administration, it looks like a perfectly valid deal at the end of it, right? So that is the thing.
So clearly one more thing to worry about, but Mr. Singh was mentioning the fact that we have to deal with what is going on within the country. Apart from what we are learning from the global platforms, I'll come back to that. Mr. Singh, since here on Media Scan, we do not like to leave any questions unanswered. Quickly, sir, what do you think is to be done to meet with this challenge in the south of India to curb the radicalization? Quickly, in your view, what can be done right now and in the long term?
See, firstly, we all have to recognize that the subcontinental Islam is very different from Arab Islam. Or Islam, or say, the Southeast Asian Islam. So, if do you have Muslims propagating and using a language, so-called language called Urdu anywhere in the world. While the entire scriptures of the Muslims are in Arabic. So we have a unique position. Just as the Uyghur Muslims are very different from other Muslims, and the Chinese are dealing with in their own way, we need to evolve our own way in dealing with them. The first step that needs to be taken, that let's stop being exporters, ideological exporters of these various radical organizations or ideologies called Deobandi, Barelvi, Ahle Hadith, and crack down on the centers.
Do you think,
I see
sir,
no reason.
do you think to start off the survey and the monitoring of madrasas that has started in a couple of states in the country is a right step in that direction?
Absolutely, madam. Absolutely. There is, till today, I don't see the logic of madrasas in this country. I mean, why shouldn't they follow the NCERT books or whatever textbooks are prescribed by what is so special about madrasas?
Right.
What is it that they are teaching which our normal education system in the country is not equipped to cater?
Right.
Just give me one example.
Fine, sir. Fine. That's a question for the policy makers, but I'm afraid I shall have to stop you here. And since this is a much larger debate, not enough to be, packed in the limits of a half an hour show, I shall come back to you, sir, while you are spending your time in your native village. I'll get a quick comment from Vicky, and then I shall have to wind up. Vicky, you just heard Mr. Singh tell us that perhaps it's time to look at the syllabi, the curriculum of the madrasas, and try to see why, what is it that they are teaching that is not, important in terms of the regular curriculum that we follow in the other schools. That is a question for thought for our policy makers. But your take quickly on the current situation in the south of India before I wind up.
Okay, Smitaji, if I have to put it in one sentence, I said, let's not live in denial. There is a problem. It's very deep rooted. The undercurrent has always been there. Let's, start addressing the problem, and let's not keep denying that, everything is hunky-dory down south. So, and you know what, when the
be specific, Vicky. Do you think the question of denial is coming from the intelligence agencies, from the police, the anti-terror bodies, or the governments in the states? What do you really mean?
See, the thing is, after the NIA has been set up, the kind of investigations they've done, at least I would say that 60% has been done in South India, because, we've been talking about 2009 actually, about this problem. Stories have been written since 2009. There are intelligence reports, there are talks about, how many Wahhabis are coming. I will say that, I wouldn't say over 1,000 crores being spent on this whole ideology to bio-mosque administration. So I think the political class should stop living in denial in these southern states. And when the agencies are coming there, and instead of, talking politics and just saying cylinder blast, that's not what it is. It is a blast, okay, at the end of it. It is a blast. Whether it is a cylinder or RDX or IED, that is one thing.
Point taken. Point taken. Thank you, Vicky Nanjappa, for putting it so well. A blast is a blast, and if it can cause damage, it is something that needs to be taken up seriously at the right levels. Thank you for joining us on Media Scan, Vicky Nanjappa and Mr. RSN Singh. So kind of you, sir, to have connected to us. Even though you are in transit, it was a wonderful learning experience speaking to you. And we will take up some of the questions that you have raised today in another episode. Thank you once again. Viewers, as both of our guests have said repeatedly, a blast is a blast. If it can cause damage to life and property, it needs to be taken at the senior most level. And therefore, we shall leave it at that for you. And as Vicky Nanjappa said, as Mr. Singh said, time to shed the denial and start the action. Do join us back on Media Scan next weekend. Namaskar.